Here I am. Hello there, Grateful Gang. Welcome to Gratefully Living the Chronic Life. I am Lauren Blanchard-Zaleski. Thank you for joining me tonight. This is our 50th episode, which I can hardly believe. It doesn't seem like it's been that many, but it has. It's been 50 episodes, 50 wonderful episodes. I come to you every Thursday. For those of you that might be new, I come to you every Thursday. I run the group Attitude of Gratitude with Chronic Pain on Facebook. We are a closed Facebook group that focuses on living in the solution rather than staying stuck in the problem. And so I started this broadcast last April, where we talk about different topics relating to living with chronic pain and illness, but really kind of any struggle, any kind of pain, emotional or physical. Our topics usually pertain to that. So welcome, welcome, welcome to our 50th episode. I'm really glad that you're here. I have an awesome guest tonight who I cannot wait to introduce you to. I don't know that I've been this excited for a topic in a very long time. And when I introduce her, you will see why we're so in alignment with our message. So there's a couple great big things going on. Like I mentioned, this is our 50th episode. So hooray for 50 episodes. We have a prize to give out. My guest is an author. She's got a wonderful book out, and we're going to be giving away a free autographed copy. She's donating a free autographed copy for us. So I will tell you in a minute how to enter for that. We also just two weeks or maybe last week, maybe I don't even know if I mentioned it during the broadcast last week, but anyway, an Attitude of Gratitude with Chronic Pain, we just hit 6,000 members. Actually, we're just about to hit 6,100 members. So we had 6,000 members, which I always find every time we hit another 1,000, another milestone, I'm very humbled and amazed, really, because our group is different from other chronic pain groups in that you come in and these, we're all people who hurt. We live with chronic pain, illness, emotional or physical or both. And we're a non-complaining group. You're not allowed to complain in our group. We have live chats that we offer twice a week on Zoom, where you can complain all you want. But in the group, we do not complain. We are there to inspire and motivate and, kind of a place to escape for people with chronic pain and illness who are sick of hearing the negative all the time. So we're unique in that way. So anyway, we're not for everybody. We're certainly not for everybody. Not everybody is there with their chronic pain journey. And I realize that. But for those who join, these are people who hurt, and they join without being told they have to, and they join a non-complaining group. So it's pretty amazing. 6,000 members. So thank you to those of you who are members. If you're not and you would like to join, let's see, I've got a little graphic-y thing here. Let's see, here we go. Attitude of Gratitude with Chronic Pain on Facebook. You can join us. What else we have going on? Oh, the book. Many of you know who've been watching me. I am writing a book, a gratitude journal for teen boys that's going to be put out by Rockridge Press at the end of November. And I am about halfway through. I have deadlines due every Friday, and it's going well. It is a challenge for sure, trying to make everything, interesting. Gratitude interesting for teen boys is a challenge, but it's fun, and I'm excited about it, and it's going really well. I was trying to decide what I was going to get, what I was going to do. I wanted to do something for the group with the money I'm making from the book. But I eventually decided part of the money I was going to put towards something that I desperately need, but also helps the group. So I'm going to show you right now. I got it this week. I've been waiting for it because, wrong thing. Because it's been on back order. So let me try to show you here. Let's see. There we go. It is a Mac, an iMac in pink. It is awesome. I've wanted a Mac forever. So I finally got one, and the screen, it's not that, it's big for me. It's 24 inches. it's about double the size of what I was working with before. So it's a huge difference in my work. And it's so fast and awesome. So I'm really excited about that. One other thing, I want to get my guest on because she's great. She's so patiently waiting backstage. But Sunday, let me see if I can get this out without crying. Besides being Father's Day, and happy Father's Day to all of you fathers out there and to all of the fathers of you wonderful people who are watching, but also to my dad, who's my hero. Happy Father's Day, Dad. And to my husband, Rob, who is the best father in the world. He's away on a guy's weekend right now, but happy Father's Day to all of you. But also Sunday is my 8-year sobriety anniversary, which is a great big day for me. I get very humbled and grateful. All of my gratitude stems from this day, June 20th, 2013, as my guest is going to share with us. It was my moment of PTSG, post-traumatic spiritual growth, and she's going to talk about that. It was from this moment, it was the worst day of my life, but also the best day of my life. And it really has sparked, my life's work out of it. So I'm excited about that and humbled and just very, very grateful. Let me just share with you quickly. Last week, Michelle Weigers was on. Thank you, Michelle, for being here. Many of you attended her Q&A today, talking more about the mind-body connection in regards to living with chronic pain. And she was wonderful. Michelle, if you're watching, thank you. And the Q&A was great. If you weren't able to make the Q&A live, it is in the group. Actually, it's in the group and on my public page, which is Gratitude Addict. You can find it there. Let me share with you quickly. We've got a couple of great guests coming on. Let's see if I can do this. All right, where are we? Here we go. Present. There we go. Next week, we have James Cruz, who's an awesome poet. He wrote and edited this great new poetry book called How to Heal the World, Poems of Gratitude and Hope. And he's actually a personal friend of Michelle Weigers, who was on last week. He's the one that actually told me about her. So he's going to be on next week. And then the week following, our friend and my mentor, the guy who saw me at the chronic pain and recovery program at Silver Hill Hospital when I got there, hungover and ready to change my life, Dr. Bruce Singer is going to be with us. So excited about that. But this week, let me bring on our guest. Her name is Susan Spector, and she wrote this incredible book. Hi, Susan.
Hi.
This is Susan. She wrote this great book called Keep Calm, It's Just a Brain Tumor, My Year of Wabi-Sabi Healing. And I cannot wait for her to share with you guys about what Wabi-Sabi healing is. And I was telling her backstage before we came on that I'm amazed, in reading this wonderful book and what her message is throughout the entire thing. I'm amazed that we haven't met yet up until this point, because her message is so much in alignment with what we work on in the group and what I teach. So let me first read you a little bit about Susan. I'm going to let her talk and I'll stop blabbing. At age 62, Susan was living a cabin in the woods, quiet life filled with books, hikes, dog walks, a loving partner, good friends, and no reason to believe any of it would ever change until it did. She lost control of her body and mind and received the crushing blow of a brain tumor diagnosis. Once her body was restored by a team of brilliant neurosurgeons and the miracle of modern medicine, it was up to Susan to figure out how to live peacefully on a watch and wait plan with her inoperable but stable brain tumor. Forever changed by her diagnosis, she started to view life through the lens of the Japanese philosophy of Wabi-Sabi, embracing her perfectly imperfect brain. With time and a lot of practice, her watch and wait treatment protocol morphed into a new lifestyle where she found the unexpected gift of a calmer and more creative mind. Whether you are living with a chronic illness, fearful about disease progression, or get anxious about an aging mind and body, cultivating a grateful wabi-sabi mindset can help you navigate life's inevitable uncertainties, appreciate the beauty of imperfection, and find more value in the ordinary moments of everyday life. So welcome, Susan, author of this wonderful book. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
I want to mention, Susan, I actually did not have to stalk Susan. She came across, I usually stalk everybody. I would say you stalked me, but you really didn't. She came across one of my broadcasts, and even though she wrote the book, she really just felt like she had a message to get out. She doesn't like to be salesy about the book, but even though she's selling the book, 100% of the proceeds are being donated to brain tumor research. So I'm going to promote the book, even though she is not comfortable with it, because it's an incredible book, and really I highly recommend it for anybody who lives with chronic pain and illness. So why don't you tell us, like, why don't you tell us, like, what it was like before and then your diagnosis? Like, walk us through what happened.
Okay. Well, first of all, on the reverse stalking of me finding you, I was looking for sort of a gratitude or living gratefully reboot, because I had been living in what I call radical gratitude for a couple of years. And then I noticed that little by little, I was sort of starting to take things for granted again. Just over time, things that you don't even think about, your body working, you're able to breathe, your heart is beating and you're not telling it to, things like that, that I'd been very aware of after the initial shock of my brain tumor diagnosis started to sort of taper off. And I'm gradually getting back to, I realized that I needed to have a gratitude structure, and your group to me seemed like a gratitude accountability group.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, and it was exactly what I was looking for. So I'm glad that I did find you.
Me too.
So when this little adventure started, I was just living the life, and I didn't realize it, but I was taking a lot for granted.
Yeah, you really don't realize it when you're until you have a health crisis, right? You really don't realize it.
Yes, once things stop working. And I actually misdiagnosed myself with Parkinson's because the symptoms I was experiencing mirrors Parkinson's. And my mom died with Parkinson's, so I was very familiar with what it looked like, and I was certain I had it. And what it turns out to be is something very different. I had obstructive hydrocephalus, which is basically water on the brain. And I call it, under a colloquial term, wet, wobbly, and wacky. Those are the symptoms.
There's a lot of humor in the book. I will say that, even though it reads a little seriously on the, what did I just do? I just opened, no, that's not good. She has the most amazing sense of humor. So you will love that aspect of the book for sure.
Thank you, Lauren.
You're welcome.
So those are my symptoms. Wet, I was incontinent. Wobbly, I couldn't walk. And wacky, my cognitive functions were declining.
Yeah.
So eventually I ended up in an ER, had a CAT scan, and they diagnosed hydrocephalus and said, go get an MRI. And I landed in, I don't know if I can make a plug, but what I call the Emerald City of medicine, which is the Mayo Clinic. Somehow, by the grace of God, I ended up there.
That's the place you want to be.
It really is, for diagnostics, just amazing. But I had my MRI done there, and I don't remember a lot of it. My partner, who is now my superhero partner, kind of filled in a lot of the details in the beginning, because my cognitive decline was so bad that I really wasn't functioning. And anyway, my wet, wobbly, and wacky symptoms got miraculously reversed through modern medicine miracles. I had what's called an endoscopic third ventriculostomy, which is basically, I know, and ETV is what I call it now. Basically, my brilliant neurosurgeons figured out what was going on. They said, okay, let's fix this obstructive hydrocephalus. Oh, and by the way, you have a brain tumor. And, those 5 words, I'm like, wait, what? And I wasn't even processing because my cognitive decline. So anyway, they said, first things first, let's fix the hydrocephalus. then we'll go to the next phase and figure out what we're going to do with the tumor that is blocking the cerebral spinal fluid and causing you to have the hydrocephalus. And so I went into, it wasn't quite emergency because it took a couple of weeks to get all the testing done. But it was sort of semi-emergency brain surgery, because even though my tumors are technically benign in the brain tumor world, benign does not mean benevolent. There's only so much room in our skulls, and mine was filling up with fluid.
How big are they? Well, I just gave it away that there's more than one.
Oh, that's okay. It's not a secret.
Well, they have personalities. I don't want to give away that part of your story.
Oh.
How big are they?
The Panina, the biggest one is 2 centimeters, I think. I don't even know. And Pollyanna, the smaller one, is much smaller. So basically, these are my 2 girls. Yeah, big enough.
Yeah.
Panina and Pollyanna. And it is kind of a common thing, believe it or not, in the brain tumor community to name your tumors. It is not something I ever thought I would do. I thought it was like the silliest thing I'd ever heard, and just so not me.
I like that, because you're embracing that part of you. And rather than making it something, like get away from me, that by naming them, at least to me, it kind of makes it seem like you're embracing them, like, hello, let's get through this together.
Well, I had to befriend them, because otherwise I'd be petrified of them.
Yeah.
And I kind of am petrified of them still in some way, but I embrace them too. I had to sort of make them friends. I had to make them a little bit funny. And so basically, Panina is the big girl, and she lives in my pineal gland. That's why her name's Panina. And she's the one that did all the plumbing damage, blocking everything up, moving furniture around.
Plumbing damage.
Pollyanna is a completely different story. She's a very small, what they call schwannoma. And my neurodocs were not concerned with her at all, and hardly ever even talked about her. And so I did not give her a name in the beginning, because I didn't think she was significant enough, because they blew her off. So I blew her off. But then one day, I don't even really remember how this happened, but I decided that she would enter the story. She would be named. And the reason I picked Pollyanna is because she's the original gratitude girl. Pollyanna, as mostly everyone knows, is a character in a classic children's story from, I don't know, the early 1900s. And now it's sort of a pejorative term. So if you're called a Pollyanna now, you're kind of naive, or you see everything through rose-colored glasses. But back then, it wasn't pejorative at all in the Eleanor Porter book, the classic book. She's the original girl to put her faith in gratitude. So now I have a little small but mighty schwannoma that is a tangible reminder to live gratefully. So that's how she got her name. And they are my girls. I mean, I treat them, it is kind of a weird thing, but I have conversations with them from time to time. I wanted to know why they were there. Well, I know why Pollyanna's there. She's very clear in her role. I mean, that is just the whole gratefully reminder. Yeah. Panina is another story. She lives in the pineal gland, which has been known to be the third eye, or the source of intuition. And but she has shared with me that she does not appreciate the pressure I put on her to be so intuitively knowing all the time. So I try not to highlight that aspect of her. So those are my girls. And let's see, what about the Wabi-Sabi? Okay, I'm going to just share a little.
Take a couple of comments before we get to Wabi-Sabi. And I forgot to mention how we're going to win the book. So if you would like to win the free autographed copy of Keep Calm, It's Just a Brain Tumor. My niece Campbell's here. She's going to do our drawing for us. How about we say, do hashtag Wabi-Sabi or something like that. If you write that in there, we'll know that you would like to win a copy of the book. All right, Campbell, I see you backstage there. So hashtag Wabi-Sabi, get a chance to win a free copy of the book. So let's see, we've got a whole lot of comments here today. We've got, hey, Seaton, happy 50th, thank you. Pamela's here, well done, thank you. Hello, Facebook user. Hi, Linda, 50th. Seaton she wins everything, so she'll probably win the book. Hello, if you're not seeing your name on the screen, if you are watching from inside Attitude of Gratitude with Chronic Pain, you need to log in and give Stream your permission because we're a closed group. So if you would like to keep commenting and would like your name to show up on screen, you can log out and log back in, or you can just say, hey, it's me. Thank you, 50th episode. Congratulations, thank you. Sleek, 8 years, thank you. Hello, Jill. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Welcome, Susan, and thank you for not making Lord stalk you. Don't worry, next week I stalked him. Radical gratitude. I love that too. I love that too. When we had our first meeting, I loved that too. Didn't you say you wanted to name your book that originally, but somebody else had named that? Am I making that up?
No, somebody else from the Brain Tumor community had gratitude prescription.
That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, and I thought, oh, that's perfect.
Somebody did write a book called Radical Gratitude because I looked that up for my book as well. AOG has been life-changing for me. I'm so glad. So glad. Mayo is the Emerald City. Yes, Jill was is a munchkin from Munchkin Land at the Emerald City as well. We've got Wabi-Sabis here. 50. Yep. Ooh, a lot of people entering Wabi-Sabi. Great. All right. I had a pineal gland cyst yesterday. The neurologist refused to order another MRI. Huh. Is that typical, Susan? Do you know?
It seems to be more typical with cysts than actual masses. I don't know why that is, because I think they sometimes cause the same symptoms. So I'm not sure why, but that does seem to be not an unusual experience.
Okay, so you're told that you've got these brain tumors. Like, what was your initial feelings when you got them? Do you remember thinking back to that time? Like, you must have been terrified, of course.
Well, my partner was with me, Cameron, my superhero, and we both just looked at each other, expression drained. And, I knew what he was thinking. He knew what I was thinking. This SHIT just got real.
Yeah.
And then I kind of checked out, to be honest, because the neurosurgeon was explaining the procedure he was planning to do and the risks and all the technical aspects. And I just pretty much checked out. Yeah. I couldn't hear what was going on. And in fact, he had told me in the very first meeting that if he couldn't reach Penina, well, he didn't know her name. I don't even know if he knows her name yet. But if he couldn't reach the tumor, if it wasn't a real clear path, that he would bring me back in and we'd go in a second time. I didn't even hear that. And when he brought me in, when I had my first post-op meeting, he immediately started talking. I was really proud to show him how well I was doing because my symptoms were reversing quickly. My brain was healing phenomenally fast. And I was all excited to show him how well I was. And he started talking immediately about going back in and the angle. And I'm like, whoa, dude, slow your roll. And then I realized when I was reading my medical charts, as I was writing the book, a lot of my research on the book was done through reading my charting in the portal that Mayo Clinic has, the patient portal. And then I saw all the details and I'm like, oh, that was his plan all along. I had no idea. I didn't know that. I never heard that part.
Nice to have those things, because I know when, I don't have a brain tumor, thank God, but I know sometimes when you get that bad info, it's like you hear the initial and then all of a sudden everything else is like, the teacher from Peanuts, wah, 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 wah. Those portals are wonderful for you to be able do that. Plus, you had a superhero. It's nice to have a superhero who can hear things that we can't.
Yeah. He's very uncomfortable with the title.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay, so the Wabi-Sabi. I subscribe to a blog called Buddhist Boot Camp, written by a guy named Timber Hawkeye. And I was just reading the blog one day and came upon this concept that he was writing about called Wabi-Sabi, which I'd never heard before. And I mean, all I remember was we bought some Wabi-Sabi peanuts one time on a road trip where we were in Florida. And I ate so fast. I ate so many that I kind of got sick of them. And so I thought, maybe he's talking about
wasabi, obviously.
I don't know. That's what came to my mind. And so that I thought, maybe he's talking about mindfully eating. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I got more into it, I realized, okay, so Wabi-Sabi, it's celebrating the sublime joy in the beauty and spirituality of imperfection. And the classic Wabi-Sabi description is, it's a Japanese philosophy. And it's like an artist will make a perfect piece of pottery and put the pottery, fire it up in a kiln, and it comes out of the kiln and it's cracked. And the artists, sometimes they're called kintsugi artists, it's a type of art where they repair pottery, will fill the crack with like a golden epoxy kind of material. And the repair makes the vessel more beautiful, piece of pottery, more interesting, gives it more of a meditative value. And as soon as I read that, it just clicked with, that's what I'm going to do to my brain. And wabi-sabi is not a verb, but I decided to make it a verb. And I said, I'm going to wabi-sabi my brain. There it is. And I look at my neurosurgeon as the kintsugi artist who filled the cracks. I call him Dr. Kintsugi.
He must get such a kick out of you.
I don't know. Sometimes I think he's like, oh, yeah, these are my patients from Sedona, woo-woo country. Okay.
I had heard when you contacted me, I had never heard of wabi-sabi, but I had seen, I think I told you, I had seen a graphic that was going around in the chronic pain community, once in a while about the kintsugi, I guess. And it was, showing a piece of the broken pottery with the gold in it and talking about how just because you're broken doesn't mean you can't be beautiful. I'd seen that before, but the wabi-sabi, as soon as you contacted me, I'm Googling and all that. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense with what, the message I try to put out in AOG, and the entire book is like that. So you decide to wabi-sabi your brain.
So I wabi-sabi my brain tumors, yeah. And it's like a paradoxical truth, so the brokenness and the vulnerability really become the strength. And that's what happened when I wrote the book. And I didn't plan to write a book. I had no literary aspirations at all until this adventure hit. I was really just writing a journal, and I was journaling. And then these journal entries became sort of a private blog that I was sending out to friends and family to keep them updated with what was happening. Mm-hmm. And then I got so many of them. I just had like a million scattered journal entries. And now I'm so glad I did. And part of why I decided to journal is because I was very worried that I would lose the story because of my cognitive decline. Right. I thought it was going to just disappear. Mm-hmm. And so I had to put my ego aside and get very vulnerable on the page. And that's a scary thing. Yeah. But it turns out that really became the beauty and the strength, which is very wabi-sabi. The vulnerability, the brokenness becomes the gift. And
by writing it down, you're helping other people.
And I didn't realize that at the time either. The first phase after writing the book and getting it published, the first phase was me realizing, oh, this is a self-help book. I can get rid of every other self-help book on my shelf because now I have the only book I need to read on self-help. And I thought, okay, that's where it ends. And that's enough. That is enough. But then I realized that the sharing of my story was actually like you found with your purpose after your big important day, the worst and the best day of your life. That becomes more of your purpose. And I'm really just now discovering that. Like at first, when I contacted you at first, I, as you know, hesitated and backed off, going, "Oh, no, 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 I can't do that." And now I realize, yes, I can do that, and it's important for me to do that. And so initially, I thought it would be shared with just the brain tumor community, but then I realized wabi-sabi is so much more than brain tumor community.
Sure.
And it's just aging. Like if you look in the mirror and you don't want to see crow's feet and wrinkles, you wabi-sabi is what you need to do to make peace with that beauty in aging and realize that everything is transient, everything is impermanent, and that's nature. That's how nature works.
Our society gets so fixated on striving for this perfection that doesn't exist, and embracing imperfection.
It's so freeing.
I know, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
When I first got out of rehab, I was at a chronic pain rehab, but I was there, to get sober as well. I only shared with like my inner circle of friends about the alcohol part. I was sharing, chronic pain, blah, blah, blah. And that I don't remember exactly when I decided to be so open about my alcoholism. And it was scary as anything, but it was freeing. And then it didn't have power over me anymore. Now I'm very freeing. And I hope that to show that, it can happen to anybody. And, it's nothing to be ashamed of. I'm a very perfectly imperfect human. This is what I am. We're all perfectly imperfect in one way, shape, or form, aren't we?
Yeah. I'm just an ordinary person who happened to get this glimpse into this extraordinary darkness and light of a brain tumor adventure. And that's the simplicity of it.
So you were journaling, but you had, before you actually finished, you had decided it was going to be a book before you finished, right? Was I reading that?
Well, as I was journaling, I think I signed up for a writer's group. So I didn't have any skill or experience in the craft of writing. So I was just kind of vomiting emotions out onto the
I love
page.
the way it reads. It reads as if you're talking, and I love that. That's kind of the way I write as well, like conversation style. I like that. It's accessible. It's vulnerable. I love it. I love the way you write.
Thank you. So I decided at some point, people were saying, "Oh, you should write a book. You should write a book. You should write a book." And that idea kind of took hold. And then I decided I was sharing all these journal entries, and the responses that I was getting was, "Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good." Well, as a writer, as you know, because you're a writer, that's not helpful to a writer. I love it, but it's not helpful.
Yeah.
So I decided to work with an editor, and I just found a woman that I kind of clicked with, and she pegged me immediately. She said, "Okay, you are an undisciplined natural storyteller." And that is so true.
Yeah.
And so she kind of worked with me to structure some discipline in there. Because I'm not naturally that way at all. And then it sort of took shape as a book. And what I didn't know is she sent it to her publisher without me knowing, which is great because otherwise I'd be so nervous about it. And her publishers just responded to it and said, "Yeah, this is nice. We want to publish it." Because it talks about resilience, and she saw the bigger beyond the brain tumor community sort of appeal, I guess. So that's how that happened.
She did. Speaking of resilience, I don't want to completely jump ahead, but I'm afraid I'm going to forget it because it just entered my mind. I don't remember things all that well either. You talk about the difference between gratitude and resilience. And I loved your explanation. Can you describe what you had said about the difference between, or no, was it gratitude and resilience?
Well, that ties into the post-traumatic spiritual growth, I think, because resilience brings you back to where you were. Resilience, I think, brings you back to where you were before things kind of fell apart. But in the post-traumatic spiritual growth,
that's what it is.
You're better than you were.
Right.
And I really feel like for me, the gift of these brain tumors is that I am better. I want to do better. I don't take things for granted anymore. I'm much more appreciative of just the smallest things of everyday living. And, part of what happened, lots of surprises came out of this book. And one was sort of coming to terms with the love and compassion that I now have for my mom, who's been dead for 7 years. And I was her caregiver or companion for the last 2 years of her life. And I was angry and resentful the entire time. She and I had a very complicated relationship.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until writing this book that I kind of came to terms with my relationship with her and my gratitude. I'm so grateful that she sort of picked me to be her soul, SOLE, and SOUL companion in her end of life journey. And, all the anger receded, all the resentment receded. It was just love and compassion that I had left for her. Beautiful. That was a complete surprise to come out of this book.
And that talks about the power of maybe not writing a book for everybody, but journaling, which you talk about that in the book, Writing to Discover.
Very powerful process. Yeah.
Yeah. Journaling. We talk about that in AOG as well. In fact, we have a whole separate sister group about journaling, but, I don't want to jump ahead too much in your story before you talk about the spiritual section. But so you're at Mayo. What do they determine as far as like your treatment plan?
Well, we had a little bit of a different opinion there. I mean, my life-threatening symptoms were treated through the endoscopic third ventriculoscopy. So they basically drilled a hole in my ventricle and let things flow, and then they implanted this thing called Nomaya reservoir. I don't even know what that was for the first year and a half, and now I do know what it is. When you're ready to know, and until you're ready, you don't even know.
True.
So those symptoms were miraculously reversed, like I was saying, by the miracle of modern medicine. And living with the inoperable brain tumors, if you ask my neurosurgeon if my tumor was inoperable, he would probably say no. I mean, he would say it's not inoperable, but I believe it's inoperable.
Yeah.
So I'm on a watch and wait plan, and that's Wawa. Yeah.
Wawa. She calls it Wawa, which I love.
And originally I'm from the East Coast, so I don't know if people here know Wawa as the convenience store with the awesome coffee.
I think it's like we definitely have them here in New Jersey. They're kind of like a like Southern New Jersey, Philadelphia,
right?
Thing, I think. Yeah.
Right. So Wawa is now, not only is it my treatment protocol, watch and wait, it's also my spiritual practice.
I like that.
So I'm not good at watching and waiting.
No.
It's a practice, just like Wabi-Sabi. It's a practice.
Yeah.
And it's every single day. So I had this, I moved away from fear and anxiety. And I had, I think I shared with you the acronym FEAR that I heard from Anne Lamott.
Yes, remind me. It was.
Oh, that's so awesome. Anne Lamott said that, in recovery circles, there is this acronym that goes around for fear: a frenzied effort to appear recovered. And that was me. I'm like, I'm not healing fast enough. I'm not healing fast enough. I got to be cured. Or I write a book. Okay, I'm going to write a book and I'll get published. It's like, I have to be recovered. And now I know, wait a minute, I'm on a watch and wait treatment plan. I got to slow down, watch and wait, be patient, wait for things to be revealed to me, because it's still a mystery.
Sure.
And so that's the spiritual practice. That's how I went from frenzied fear, I got to get better, I'm fine, to watching and waiting. So I have a treatment protocol and I have a spiritual path that one and the same.
That a lot of us, living with chronic conditions have to deal with as well, where maybe you have a condition that, it's there, you may have it forever, not necessarily a cure yet. So it's just, you can't really take much action, and that can be frustrating. So it's that Wawa, watching and waiting. And what do we do during that time of Wawa?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and in your wah-wah time, you know, will hopefully find more joy, how to cultivate that, find more of your purpose. It's a real challenge for me though, because I'm not naturally a good wah-wah girl.
So you've got this whole section of the book, part 3, which is on your PTSD, post-traumatic spiritual growth, and you go through very different chapters of what you feel are helping you with your PTSG. And the first one is my favorite, gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where Pollyanna brings you to a state of gratitude. How do you practice your gratitude?
Right, and I think there's 7 or 8 things, but gratitude, I just to me, that's everything, and the rest is just commentary. That's what I say. The other things are commentary. They're important, but if I had to write a 6-word memoir, it would be cultivate gratitude, take nothing for granted. That's it.
Love it.
And that would be enough.
It really,
so that's
it's simple, but not easy all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mindfulness, which is another favorite of mine.
Yeah.
You said you taught a mindfulness class. Am I remembering that correctly?
I did. I was teaching an online mindfulness class. This is before the adventure began. And so I was, you know how they say you teach what you need to learn.
Yeah.
I was teaching, but I really wasn't practicing. And then when I found out I had a brain tumor, I had to really start practicing. I was like dropped into applied mindfulness masterclass. And I actually started practicing out of fear. That's the reason I started my own mindfulness practice. And it is a practice, and Wabi-Sabi helps with that. It's sort of they go hand in hand. But I'm not, it's like wah-wah. It takes a lot of effort.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
It does. And
it does.
Again, it's so simple, but not easy. And I think a lot of people think, I can't sit there and meditate and all that. And I put in the group every day, I do these breath breaks, or I put usually it's an exercise from YouTube, 5 minutes or less, usually around 3 to 5 minutes, just to try to show everybody that a couple of minutes really is all it takes to just slow yourself down, get in the moment. And it helps, but it is a practice, I've found, because when I get away from it, I can feel it. I can feel it in my neck and my shoulders and my stress levels. It really is a huge tool in my life to be able to just exhale. That's the only way. I mean, I don't even mean that literally. I mean, just in general, like exhale, look at things for how it is, and try to, that worry and fear can just be paralyzing, right?
Yeah. And in the beginning, I was very stuck in that. What if these grow? What if I have to get chemo? What if I have to get another craniotomy? I couldn't do it. What if? And then I thought, okay, in the mindfulness practice, wait a minute. Right now, I'm on a beautiful hike with my beautiful dog by a beautiful creek. I'm not in an MRI tube. I'm not getting a scan. Yeah, so really just kind of bringing yourself back to the moment. It can be meditation. It can be walking. It can be whatever you're doing. I mean, right now, I'm having a conversation with you.
Right.
And that's it.
Right.
And, my tumors will do what my tumors will do.
They will. And another mindful practice, which is the third chapter you talk about, is writing to discover. We were talking about your journaling, and I like journaling for the way that it's a very mindful practice. Usually when you're journaling, you're not normally thinking of anything other than what you're writing. Do you agree?
Yeah, and it's just so surprising what comes out in writing. There were so many surprises that came out of the writing of this book. I reconnected. I come from a Jewish tradition, but I never really had the Jewish spirituality. I was brought up with more of the form and function, but I've reconnected with my Jewish spirituality through the writing. Total shock, total surprise. Never expected that. Reconciliation with my mom. Never expected that. Yeah. So all these really big surprises came out of the writing process, and And now I just feel like I found a voice that I never even knew was there.
Yeah, it's so healing. And I think that's another thing that a lot of people initially get scared of is the writing. And you don't know what's going to come out. You know, I don't know if I told you this when we met or not, but when I was at my chronic pain rehab, doctor had us write a letter. I think I may have told you. He had us write a letter to our pain. And then he had us write a letter a couple of weeks later from our pain back to us. And I was shocked at the voice that my pain had. I initially thought it would have this real angry and, you know, angry and caustic voice, but it was actually very gentle and loving. And I would have never expected that to come out of that voice. So it's funny what comes out when you're writing.
Yeah. And just the whole creative process really helps the healing.
Yeah.
When you're more creative, you're healing faster.
I like that. That is true. That is true. We've got a lot of wabi-sabis here. For anybody that may be joining us late, if you'd like to win a free autographed copy of Susan's book, Keep Calm, It's Just a Brain Tumor, My Year of Wabi-Sabi Healing, just do hashtag wabi-sabi or something like that. And Campbell will get your name. Oh, Sandy Montgomery's here. Hi, Sandy. Being here now is better than any yesterday or tomorrow. I love that. Great example of a mindfulness. Being here now is better than any yesterday or tomorrow. That's beautiful, Seaton. Thank you. Now I know how you got the name Penina. It is my middle name in Hebrew. Ah, very cool.
Yeah.
I want to find my letters to and from pain. Seaton was at the same pain program as I was at, not at the same time. Don't bother, I will win. Yeah, I know you'll win the book. You win everything. All right, so after writing, let's see what we have next. After writing, another one I love, finding my tribes. How did you find your tribes?
Well, I found my tribes through writing. I joined some writers groups, and I joined also a Jewish recovery, which sounds kind of weird because I didn't know that I even had any kind of recovery issues from addiction. But here was an interesting little surprise that came out of this adventure. I was attending a Yom Kippur service, and it was in the hotel here in Sedona, the Marriott Hotel. And I was in the lobby having my nightly Merlot, because I had nightly Merlots every single night. That was my thing. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times my nightly Merlot would turn into like 2 nightly Merlots, but no one around me or me thought I had a problem. And then suddenly after brain surgery, I don't know if this, I don't want to sound too, it's tricky to talk about spirituality because you don't want to alienate people. Most of the loved ones in my life are atheists, so I got to be really careful.
I don't think you need to worry about with this crowd that tunes in. Usually, at least in my experience, if people are open to gratitude, they're very in tune with spiritual stuff. So I don't think you need to worry about it. Yeah. So
somehow
you had an awakening.
I had lost my taste for alcohol after brain surgery. Crazy. So I was sitting in the lobby, the Yom Kippur service, and I just realized this doesn't taste good anymore. What's going on with that? And so I believe it was sort of a blessing that was given to me. And again, I don't know if I was having a problem, who knows what would have happened if I had just continued on. But I lost my taste for alcohol, and that was the same time that evening, the Yom Kippur service, where Penina got named. So it was this like really big, important spiritual night. Anyway, finding my tribe. So my tribes are a recovery community is also my tribe. In my opinion, recovery is recovery. So whether it's from addiction, whether it's from brain tumor, it works the same way.
Totally.
And the bottom line is, for me, you're never recovered. You're recovering forever. And just like I will be getting MRIs for the rest of my life, because I'll be monitoring my girls for the rest of my life, I'm going to be recovering for the rest of my life. It's not something that you're done. And in the beginning, I just wanted to be healed and done and moved on. Okay, I had that. Now I'm done. I had the surgery. Now I'm moving on. It's ongoing, and it's a practice too.
Yeah.
So the recovery community is also my tribe. This AOG community is a tribe. People that you connect with, kindred spirits. It's really important. The writing people that I connected with became my tribe. So anybody that you connect with on a kindred spirit level, to me, just really helps the healing.
I agree. Having that connection is so important. That's something that I was completely lacking prior to my PTSD moment. I didn't want to, I had lots of friends, although I had alienated them at the end. I didn't want to talk to anybody. They were trying to help me and I didn't want to talk to anybody. But having a community of people, even though we don't talk specifics in AOG, there's this underlying feeling of, we know how I know how you feel. I honor you. You know how I feel. Let's figure out how to, we work on recovering, like you said, just that journey of figuring out ways to recover and live happily with our conditions,
Mm-hmm. And support people in that, where you don't have to explain things.
Right.
And that's how the brain tumor community is as well. You don't have to explain what fatigue is. Not just being tired and needing a venti Starbucks. That's not going to do it.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of fatigue.
Yeah, exactly. There's you have a beautiful little in your author's note in the beginning. You have a beautiful little story by your rabbi. Do you mind if I read that?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you, Lauren.
Sure. Rabbi Naomi Levy tells a famous tale in her book Einstein and the Rabbi. And the quote is, "Once a great Hasidic rabbi was dying. His disciples crowded around him and the rabbi began to weep. His disciples said to him, 'Rebbe, why are you crying?' The rabbi replied, 'My whole life is passing before me and I suddenly see that I had it all wrong. I was mistaken. The moments in my life that I thought were extraordinary were actually quite ordinary. And the moments that I thought were ordinary were the most luminous of all. I wish I had understood this.'" I love that. I just got chills actually reading it again. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Thank you for reading that.
Sure. It's true. We don't, this isn't a dress rehearsal. This is it. And trying to figure out ways to enjoy our lives, not to be a Pollyanna.
It's okay to be a Pollyanna.
It's more than just looking on the bright side. It's not that at all. Gratitude and wabi-sabi is very different from just grinning and bearing it and sucking everything, sucking it up. It's really just yearning to live that through that journey of recovering, like you said, and doing our best. I have found more stuff about myself in this journey than I ever knew in my previous 43 years at the time, and I enjoyed figuring out things about myself. They're not always pleasant, but when I find things out about myself, then I know how to better deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
So after finding your tribe, you've got move your body more to quiet the mind.
Yeah. And that's, 2 years ago, I couldn't walk, and now I walk 5 miles. And I mean, religiously, rain, shine. I have a dog, so that helps a lot. But it's been such a big part of my healing is to keep the body moving. And even if I'm limited, and because I have achy joints, and I also have inflammatory arthritis. So there are times when there are some physical limitations. I just keep going. I'm a little obsessive about it, actually. But, I think it's really important part of the healing.
It is, yeah. And it's something that is recommended all the time, and I get a lot from people. Well, I can't walk 5 miles a day, and you don't have to walk 5 miles a day if you can't. Sitting at there's chair yoga. I keep looking for somebody actually to come on the show who can talk about alternative ways to exercise for people that may be bed bound and chair bound. Mm-hmm. There's other ways to get the body moving as well. But I found when I'm sedentary, I have, one of my conditions is arthritic. When I'm sedentary, my arthritis is worse for me. I'm
Yeah.
not saying this for anybody else, but for me, moving a little bit, even just a short walk on the treadmill or something really helps my legs. But we're all different. There's various reasons.
Yeah. I think there's a quote by Rumi in the book. If it should be there. If all you can do is crawl, start crawling.
Love that quote.
Mm-hmm.
True. Yeah. Yeah. And then next you've got prayer, which I know is a big part of your story.
And that's a big part of my recovery. I have a gratitude prayer that I say when I wake up, giving thanks for the breath that I have. And so I grew up knowing prayers, but not knowing what they meant. Now I'm understanding what they mean. So even though I've already memorized them from just being sort of brainwashed my whole life, never having a clue what they meant, now I understand the gratitude, the gratefulness prayer, and just learning about what they mean was a turning point for me too. So now I feel, it's an integral part of the healing.
And gratitude really is a prayer, isn't it? Gratitude is thanking something outside of yourself, whatever your version of God is. We use God as like a universal term in the group, but it's something bigger than you, right? It's that you are not the
universe. Could be universe, right? Exactly.
Right. Yeah. And treat yourself is the next one.
Treat yourself is, and that's kind of like the self-care. And obviously things look really different treating yourself during the pandemic than they looked pre-pandemic. When I would go to the Mayo Clinic for my regular scans, we would have rituals where we'd go to this chocolate shop and I'd buy chocolates for the neurodocs, and we'd go to, record stores because they still have a record store down there. And we did all these things to treat ourselves, in which we could no longer do during COVID. But I adjusted. So I bought more books online. I bought Brain Tumor t-shirts online, and, just little things like that you have to kind of do the self-care too.
Yeah, I love that. Treating yourself is, it is self-care. That's a good way to describe it. It is self-care. And a lot of us don't treat ourselves enough, and we deserve that. When I used to go into, before the pandemic, my rheumatologist is in New York City, and I would go in and get this huge lobster roll. I'm vegan now, but at the time I was getting these huge lobster rolls because I figure if I'm traveling into the city and it's, going to the doctor's not always fun, that would be my treat to myself, would be getting these lobster rolls.
Mm-hmm.
But little treats to ourselves. We deserve it. We work hard. And then finally, dark humor and the tumor, the blessing of laughter.
Really critical to the healing. I could not have gotten through this adventure without it. And I have a dark humor, so everybody's kind of different. But it's very, very, very important for my healing to make sure that, I incorporate that as part of my regular daily life. Luckily, my partner shares my dark sense of humor, so that helps.
Do you ever talk to other people who don't know you that well, and you talk about your brain tumors, and you because of your sense of humor, and they just kind of look a little horrified?
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, I told my famous joke that nobody except for me in the brain tumor community thinks is funny. I told it to my neurosurgeon. It was like, I said, well, how long does it take to recover from brain surgery? And the punchline is, how long is a piece of string? And I tell that joke all the time, and everyone kind of goes, what? I think it's the funniest joke I've ever heard. So I think it's one of those you had to be there kind of jokes, but I still tell it. But not everybody is on the same humor wavelength, but it's important to find your humor so that you can have the laughter as part of the experience.
I agree. It's such an important release. I deal with a lot of things with humor as well. And it is, you can either laugh or you can cry, right? And I do a lot of both, but I love your sense of humor. It's one of my favorite parts about the book. And unfortunately, we're getting to the hour and we still need to do a prize, but I wanted to I wanted to read, if you don't mind, the last paragraph of your book, the way you
Sure.
end it.
Thank you, Lauren. Yeah.
Sure. If I never set foot inside a Jersey Shore Wawa convenience store again, I will always be a Jersey girl. I hope to have pleasing and thrilling stable scans with grossly unremarkable tumors forever. I will always be grateful to be on my lifelong Wawa, watch and wait, spiritual journey. Panina and Pollyanna remain with me as my symbiotic reminders about how life can always change on a dime and to always live gratefully. This moment, this breath, this word is all we are promised. The Not So Mystery continues. This is not the end. Beautiful, beautiful book, Susan Spector. Keep calm. It's just a brain tumor. My Year of Wabi-Sabi Healing. It's on Amazon. I don't know if you're selling it other places as well, but
I think it's Barnes and Noble too. Thank
okay.
you. Thank you so much.
Wonderful book. So those of you who have entered, we're going to get Campbell on now to do our little drawing, and we'll get you an autographed copy. Am I doing this right, Campbell? You there? She does this little wheel of fortune. Oh, here we go. Here she goes. She puts everybody's names in. Here we go. Who's going to be the big winner? Spinning around. Here we go. Who's got it? Oh, Heidi. Heidi Panina with the middle name one.
Perfect.
Congratulations, Heidi. So I will, I'm going to get the book to Susan. She's going to sign it for us, and then she'll get it out in the mail to you. So congratulations. Susan Spector, thank you for reverse stalking me, and for being on the show, and for sharing your beautiful story of healing and wabi-sabi with us. You're phenomenal to have on the program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Thank you, everybody, for watching live. And if you're watching us recorded, thank you for you as well. I hope you got a lot out of this episode. It was really a pleasure to bring it all to you. So I will see you next week. We'll have James Cruz on the show with he's a poet. What is it? Poems of Hope and Gratitude. I'm getting the name wrong. I apologize, James, if you're watching. Peace and love. I'll see you next week, gang. Bye. Here we go. Bye, gang.